People are acting like I cheated. I didn't. Let me be very clear about that right from the start. I did not cheat on my husband. I didn't kiss anyone. I didn't go home with anyone. I didn't exchange numbers or make plans or do anything that would actually constitute betrayal. What I did was participate in a party game. That is literally it. It was truth or dare. Everyone was drinking. Everyone was having fun. Everyone was playing along and doing ridiculous things and laughing about it. That is what you do at parties. You play games. You let loose. You have fun. I didn't even choose the dare myself. The bottle landed on me. That is how the game works. You spin. It lands on someone. They give you truth or dare. You do it. I didn't plan this. I didn't orchestrate it. It just happened organically as part of a game that literally everyone was playing. And sitting on someone's lap for 10 seconds is not that serious. It's not intimate. It's not romantic. It's just physical proximity that means absolutely nothing. People sit on each other's laps all the time, on crowded buses, in cars when there aren't enough seats, at concerts. It doesn't mean anything. My husband knows I'm playful. He married me knowing that. He knows I'm fun and spontaneous, and not one of those boring wives who sits quietly in the corner at parties. He has always said he loves that I'm social and outgoing. If he can't handle a party game, that's on him. That's his insecurity, not my problem. I shouldn't have to walk on eggshells and refuse to participate in normal social activities because he can't handle seeing me interact with other people. But let me explain exactly what happened from the beginning, so you can see how ridiculous this whole thing is. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. It started as a normal Saturday night. Our friend Tyler was having people over at his apartment. Nothing fancy, just a casual hangout, maybe 15 or 20 people total, music playing, drinks flowing, that kind of thing. We had been planning to go for weeks. I was actually excited about it because we hadn't been out in a while. Work had been stressful, life had been routine, and I was ready to just relax and have fun. The week leading up to the party had been tense between us, though I wouldn't have admitted it then. My husband had been quieter than usual, more withdrawn. When I asked if something was wrong, he said he was fine, just tired from work. I believed him because it was easier than digging deeper. Looking back now, I wonder if he was already pulling away, if he had already started checking out of our relationship emotionally. But that Saturday, I pushed those thoughts aside. I was determined to have a good time, to be fun and social and remind myself why I loved going out with friends, why I loved being around people and energy and laughter. I spent over an hour getting ready, did my makeup carefully, trying out a new technique I had seen online, curled my hair so it fell in loose waves, wore this dress I had bought a month ago but hadn't had a chance to wear yet. It was black, fitted but not too tight, hit just above the knee. I felt good in it, confident, pretty. I took several selfies before we left, trying to get the perfect angle, the perfect lighting. My husband was ready in like 10 minutes, as usual. Men have it so easy. He put on jeans and a button-down shirt and ran some product through his hair, and that was it. Meanwhile, I was still in the bathroom doing my eyeliner for the third time, because the first two attempts weren't symmetrical. "You look great," he said when I finally emerged. "Can we go now?" "You always rush me," I said, but I was smiling. I grabbed my purse and checked my reflection one more time in the hallway mirror. Yeah, I looked good. This was going to be a fun night. We got to Tyler's place around 8:15. The party was already in full swing. Music was loud enough that we could hear it from the hallway. Bass thumping. People's voices and laughter mixing together into a wall of sound that immediately made me feel energized. Tyler greeted us at the door with drinks already in his hands, these red cups that were clearly filled with something mixed strong. "Finally, I thought you weren't coming." He was already tipsy, his face flushed, his smile wide. He handed us each a cup. I took a sip. Strong. Very strong. The alcohol burned going down, but it tasted good underneath, sweet and fruity. "What is this?" I asked. "My special punch. Don't ask what's in it. Just drink it." Tyler winked, and then someone else arrived behind us, and he turned to greet them. We made our way through the apartment, saying hi to people. Tyler's place was small, a one-bedroom that was packed with bodies. The living room, the kitchen, even the hallway had people standing in groups, talking and laughing. Some were friends we knew well, some were acquaintances, some were complete strangers I had never seen before. That's what I love about Tyler's parties. Always a mix, always interesting, always a chance to meet new people and feel like you're part of something bigger than your everyday routine. My husband settled into a conversation with a couple of his buddies near the kitchen. I recognized them. Mike and Dave, guys he had known since college. They immediately launched into some conversation about their fantasy football league or something. Guy talk, sports statistics and trash talk and friendly competition. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, trying to seem interested, but honestly, it was boring. I wandered off to join a group by the windows. There were maybe 5 or 6 people there, including this guy named Jason, who I had met once before at another party a few months ago. Tall, maybe 6'2", athletic build, the kind of guy who clearly spent time at the gym. Friendly smile, easy energy. We had talked briefly last time, and he had been funny and easy to chat with. I remembered thinking then that he seemed like a cool person. "Hey, I remember you," Jason said when he saw me. "You're with Tyler's friend, right?" "Yeah, my husband is over there," I said, gesturing vaguely toward the kitchen. "I'm escaping the sports talk." Everyone in the group laughed. A girl named Amy said, "Oh God, I feel you. My boyfriend will talk about basketball for hours if you let him." We all started talking. Just normal party conversation. "What do you do for work? Have you been watching any good shows? Did you see that crazy story on the news last week?" That kind of thing. Jason worked in marketing. Amy was a teacher. Someone else was in tech. I talked about my job in event planning, told a funny story about a wedding I had coordinated last month where the groom's ex-girlfriend showed up uninvited. Nothing flirtatious, just friendly, just people having conversation and making connections and passing time at a party. I was laughing and having a good time. My cup was empty, so I went to refill it. Then I came back and we kept talking. The conversation flowed easily. Jason was funny. He did impressions of his boss that had everyone cracking up. Amy told stories about her students that were both hilarious and horrifying. My husband was across the room doing his own thing. I could see him periodically, still talking to Mike and Dave. At one point I caught his eye and waved. He nodded back and held up his drink in acknowledgement. This is what we do at parties. We don't need to be attached at the hip. We're comfortable enough in our relationship to socialize independently. We trust each other, or at least I thought we did. I had another drink, then another. The music got louder as the night went on, or maybe I just stopped noticing it as much. People got looser, more animated, more willing to be silly and loud. Someone suggested playing a drinking game. Beer pong, maybe, or flip cup. But there wasn't really space to set anything up. Then someone else suggested truth or dare. A bunch of people groaned but also kind of got excited. You know how it is. Everyone pretends they think party games are dumb, that they're too old for that kind of thing, but everyone also secretly wants to play. Everyone wants that permission to be silly and do things they wouldn't normally do. About 10 of us ended up sitting in a circle in Tyler's living room. We pushed the coffee table aside and arranged ourselves on the floor and the couch. Jason sat down, Amy and her boyfriend, Tyler, a few other people I didn't know well. I sat down too, feeling excited. I love party games. I love the energy and the unpredictability and the excuse to just let loose. My husband was still in the kitchen with his friends. I glanced over at him and waved bigger this time, gesturing enthusiastically like, "Hey, we're playing a game, come join us." He shook his head and held up his drink, like, "I'm good here, you have fun." So I shrugged and settled into the circle without him. His choice. He could have played if he wanted to. He chose not to. That was on him. The game started pretty tame. Someone had to text their ex and screenshot the conversation. Someone had to do a handstand against the wall for 30 seconds. Someone admitted they had lied about their age on a dating app before meeting their current partner. Someone had to let the group go through their phone photos from the last week. Normal party game stuff, nothing too crazy or embarrassing. Everyone was laughing. The energy was fun and light and comfortable. I was feeling really good at this point. Relaxed, happy, a little tipsy but not drunk. Just that perfect level where everything seems funnier and easier and you stop overthinking every little thing. Where social anxiety melts away and you just exist in the moment without worrying about how you look or what people think. The bottle got spun multiple times. Tyler had to call his mom and tell her he loved her, which was actually sweet and made everyone go, "Oh." Amy had to let her boyfriend post whatever he wanted on her social media, which turned out to be a photo of her from high school, with braces and bad hair that had everyone dying laughing. Someone else had to do their best impression of someone in the room, and they chose Tyler, which resulted in this hilarious, exaggerated version of how he tells stories. I was watching all of this, laughing along, sipping my drink, feeling completely in the moment. This was exactly what I had wanted. This was fun. This was connection. This was life. Not sitting at home on the couch watching TV. Not having the same boring conversations about work and bills and what to have for dinner. This was actual entertainment. Then it was my turn. Someone spun an empty bottle in the center of the circle. It spun and spun. That satisfying sound of glass on hardwood. Everyone watching it slow down gradually, wondering where it would point. It spun past Jason, past Amy, past Tyler, and finally came to a stop, pointing directly at me. The girl who had spun it, someone named Megan, who I didn't know well but who seemed cool, grinned at me with this mischievous look. Truth or dare? I didn't even hesitate. Dare. I always pick dare. Always have, even back in high school. Truth is boring. Truth is just admitting things you've already done or thought. Dare is where the fun is. Dare is action. Dare is possibility. Plus, I'm not scared. I'm not one of those people who picks truth because they're afraid to do something embarrassing or uncomfortable. I'm confident. I'm game for whatever. That's part of my personality. Part of what makes me fun. Megan looked around the circle, clearly thinking, trying to come up with something good. People started shouting suggestions immediately. Make her chug something. Make her call someone random in her phone. Make her post something embarrassing on social media. Make her do a cartwheel. Everyone was throwing out ideas, the energy building. This was the fun part, the anticipation, the wondering what ridiculous thing I would have to do. Then Jason, the guy I had been talking to earlier, spoke up. He was sitting across the circle from me, that easy smile on his face, looking amused by all the chaos of suggestions. Sit on someone else's lap for the next round. The group erupted. People were laughing and cheering and saying, "Oh!" the way people do when they think something is scandalous, but also funny. Someone whistled. Someone said, "That's cold, man." But it wasn't even that bad. It was just sitting, for one round, maybe 60 seconds total, 90 at most. I had sat on friends' laps before in crowded situations. This was no different. It was just a game, just a dare, just something silly to do for laughs. Done, I said confidently, standing up without hesitation. I looked around the circle, assessing my options. There were a few guys there. Tyler was sitting to my left, but he was like an older brother figure to me, so that felt weird. Another guy named Mike was there, someone I barely knew, which also felt awkward, and Jason, who had suggested the dare in the first place. I walked over to Jason. I don't know why I picked him specifically. Maybe because he had been the one to suggest it, so it felt like he was expecting it. Like he had volunteered himself in a way by bringing it up. Maybe because we had already been talking earlier, so there was some familiarity and it wouldn't be as awkward as sitting on a complete stranger's lap. Maybe because he looked the most comfortable with it, like it wouldn't be a big deal, like he could handle it without making things weird. Or maybe, and this is the part I don't want to admit, maybe because he was attractive and I wanted an excuse to be close to him. Maybe because some part of me liked the attention. Liked the idea of sitting on his lap while people watched and cheered. Liked feeling desirable and bold and spontaneous. But I wasn't thinking any of that consciously in the moment. In the moment, I was just playing the game. Just doing the dare. Just having fun. I sat down on Jason's lap. Not aggressive, not grinding or anything inappropriate. Just sitting. Like you would sit on a chair. My weight on his legs, positioned sort of sideways so I wasn't facing him directly. People cheered and whistled. Someone took out their phone and started filming. Someone else was laughing hysterically, like this was the funniest thing they had ever seen. I laughed too, playing along with the energy. I put my arm around his shoulders to steady myself because otherwise I felt like I might slide off. He put his hands lightly on my waist, just to keep me stable, to prevent me from falling, since I was kind of perched there, rather than fully sitting. "Comfortable?" he asked, smiling up at me. His face was close. I could smell his cologne. Something woodsy and expensive. "Very," I said back, grinning, playing along with the bit. The game continued. Someone else spun the bottle. It landed on Tyler. Someone gave him a truth question about the most embarrassing thing that had happened to him in public. He told some story about running into his ex at the grocery store while buying Preparation H, which had everyone cracking up. I was still sitting on Jason's lap because that was the dare. Stay there for one round. I was following the rules of the game. That's what you do. You don't bail halfway through. You commit to the dare. Otherwise, what's the point? I glanced over toward the kitchen to see if my husband was watching, maybe laughing at the silliness of it all, maybe shaking his head with amused exasperation at my antics. He was looking in our direction. But he wasn't smiling. He wasn't laughing. His face was completely neutral. Blank, unreadable, just staring. For a second I felt a tiny flutter of something. Doubt, concern, guilt. But then someone in the circle said something funny, and everyone laughed and I laughed too, and the moment passed. I pushed the feeling away. He was fine. He wasn't yelling or storming over. He was just watching, probably just surprised, probably thinking I was being silly. It was fine. Everything was fine. The round finished. Someone did their dare. I don't even remember what it was. Time to move on to the next person. "Okay, dare completed," I said, starting to stand up. But Jason was laughing, and people were still cheering, and someone said, "Wait, do another spin while you're still there. Keep the dare going." So I stayed. Just for one more round. What's the difference? The dare was already done. Might as well commit to the bit. Might as well give people what they're enjoying. I leaned back slightly against Jason, getting more comfortable. Relaxed. His hands were still on my waist, steadying me. I wasn't thinking about how it looked. I wasn't thinking about optics or implications, or how my husband might interpret this. I was just in the moment, enjoying the attention, enjoying the laughter, enjoying feeling like the center of something fun. The bottle spun again, landed on Amy. She picked truth. Someone asked her something. I don't remember what. She answered. Everyone reacted. The game flowed on. I looked over at my husband again. He was no longer looking at us. He had turned away, his back to the circle now, talking to Mike or Dave or whoever was next to him. His shoulders looked tense, but maybe I was imagining it. See? He wasn't even bothered. He wasn't even paying attention anymore. He had moved on to his own conversation. If he really cared, he would be staring at me, right? If he was really upset, he would have come over and said something, right? That's what I told myself anyway. After the second round, I finally stood up. Jason made some joke about his legs going numb, how I must have been cutting off his circulation. Everyone laughed. Someone said I should do squats to make up for it. I went back to my original spot in the circle, still smiling, still feeling good, still riding the high of being the center of attention. The game continued. Someone else got dared to do something, I don't even remember what. The energy was still high. People were still laughing and drinking and having fun. The party felt like it was hitting its peak, that sweet spot where everyone is loose enough to be entertaining, but not so far gone that things get messy. But then I noticed movement in my peripheral vision. My husband walking toward our group. He had left his conversation in the kitchen and was approaching the circle. I smiled at him, genuinely happy to see him finally joining us, expecting him to sit down and get involved in the game, now that he saw how fun it was. Finally ready to stop being boring and actually participate in the party. He didn't sit down, though. He stood just outside the circle, looking down at me. His hands were in his pockets. His face was still that neutral mask, but his jaw was tight. I could see the muscle working. "Having fun?" he asked. His voice was calm, too calm. That dangerous kind of calm that sounds normal on the surface but has something sharp underneath. "Yeah, you should play, it's hilarious," I said, gesturing enthusiastically to the empty spot next to me on the floor. "Come on, sit down." Tyler just had to call his mom and tell her he loved her. It was so sweet. He didn't move to sit, didn't even look at the empty spot, just kept staring at me. "I saw your dare." "Wasn't it ridiculous?" I laughed, rolling my eyes like, "These games, am I right?" Trying to make it seem like no big deal, like we were sharing a joke about how silly party games are. "Truth or dare, you know how it gets." He nodded slowly. "Very creative dare." Something in his tone made my stomach clench slightly, made the smile on my face feel more forced, but I pushed the feeling away. He was fine. He wasn't yelling or making a scene. He was just standing there talking. Probably just wanted to check in. Probably was going to join the game now. Everything was fine. "Are you going to play?" I asked, patting the spot next to me again. "No," he said quietly, "but I've got a dare for you." The circle got quieter, not silent but noticeably quieter. People sensed something was shifting but weren't sure what yet. The energy changed, got heavier, more tense. A few people glanced at each other, uncertain. I played along, trying to keep things light. "Oh yeah? What's my dare? Is it embarrassing? Am I going to regret this?" I said it jokingly, smiling, trying to pull him into the fun mood. He looked directly at me. His eyes were cold. Actually cold. I had never seen him look at me like that before. Like I was a stranger. Like I was someone he didn't even like. "Find a new place to live." For a second, nobody reacted. Like the words didn't compute. Like they were in a foreign language that took a moment to translate. Then nervous laughter rippled through the group. Someone said, "Oh!" Like he had just made a sick burn, like this was part of the game, like it was competitive banter. Someone else laughed and said, "Dude, harsh." Tyler looked uncomfortable, but smiled like maybe this was a joke he didn't quite get. I forced a laugh and rolled my eyes dramatically, playing to the crowd. "Very funny. You're hilarious. Real comedian over here." He didn't laugh, didn't smile, didn't change his expression at all, just kept looking at me with those cold eyes. "I'm not joking." The laughter died. The circle went completely silent. Even the people who had been half paying attention stopped their side conversations and looked over. Everyone was staring now, looking back and forth between us like watching a tennis match. The music was still playing in the background, but it felt very far away, muffled, like it was coming from a different room or a different reality. I stood up, suddenly feeling like I needed to not be sitting on the floor while everyone stared at me. needed to be at eye level, needed to have some kind of power position in this conversation that was spiraling in a direction I didn't understand. Okay, you're being weird. What's your problem? My voice came out sharper than I intended, defensive, almost angry. No problem, he said, his voice still that eerie calm. I'm giving you a dare. You picked dare, right? So here it is. Find a new place to live, starting tonight. My face got hot, that prickly heat that spreads from your chest up your neck and into your cheeks when you're embarrassed or angry or both. People were watching. Everyone was watching. This was humiliating. He was embarrassing me in front of all our friends, in front of strangers, in front of people I barely knew, making me look like I had done something wrong. Can we not do this here? I said through gritted teeth, trying to keep my voice low, trying to maintain some dignity. Why not? He asked, and his voice got louder, more projecting. He wanted people to hear now. You were comfortable doing your dare here, in front of everyone. You were comfortable sitting on another man's lap while I stood in the next room. Why can't I give you a dare in front of the same audience? He gestured toward Jason, who was suddenly very interested in his shoes, his face red, clearly wishing he could disappear into the floor. It was a game, I said, my voice getting louder now too, matching his volume. Everyone is playing. Everyone is doing dares. It's not that deep. You're making it into something it's not. You're right, he said, and for a second I thought he was agreeing with me, thought he was backing down. It's not deep, it's actually very simple. You wanted to sit on another man's lap, in front of our friends, for fun, for entertainment. And now I want you to find somewhere else to sleep. We're both getting what we want. See? Simple. Someone in the circle muttered, "Oh my God," under their breath. Amy had her hand over her mouth. Tyler looked like he wanted to intervene but didn't know how. The guy whose lap I had been sitting on looked mortified, like he was mentally calculating how fast he could leave this party without anyone noticing. I looked around desperately, hoping someone would tell him he was overreacting, hoping someone would laugh and break the tension and tell him to calm down. But everyone was just staring, wide-eyed and silent, and clearly uncomfortable. Nobody wanted to get involved. Nobody wanted to take sides. They just wanted to watch or, more likely, wanted this to be over. "You're being dramatic," I finally said, trying to sound confident even though my voice was shaking, even though I could feel tears starting to build behind my eyes. Over a stupid party game, over literally nothing. He picked up his jacket from where he had left it draped over the back of a chair, moved deliberately, calmly, like he had all the time in the world. "Maybe I am being dramatic," he said, shrugging his jacket on. "But I'm done playing. Game over for me." Then he walked toward the door. Just like that. Just walked away. Through the living room, past the kitchen, toward the front door. Left me there standing in the middle of the circle with everyone staring at me like I was an exhibit in a museum. Like I was something fascinating and terrible that they couldn't look away from. "Wait," I started, but he didn't stop. Didn't turn around. Didn't acknowledge that I had spoken. He opened the door and left, walked out of the apartment, left me there. The door closed behind him with a soft click that somehow sounded louder than if he had slammed it. For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the music still playing from the speaker, some upbeat song that felt completely wrong for the moment. Then Tyler cleared his throat. Should we keep playing or?" Nobody answered. The game was clearly over. The party energy was gone, sucked out of the room like air from a vacuum. A few people stood up and started gathering their things, making excuses about having to be up early tomorrow. Others drifted away from the circle to other parts of the apartment, suddenly very interested in getting another drink or finding the bathroom or checking their phones. I stood there feeling paralyzed, humiliated, exposed, like everyone could see right through me to something ugly underneath. I need to explain something here because everyone keeps acting like what I did was so terrible, so unforgivable, so beyond the pale. But if you actually break it down, logically, rationally, If you look at the objective facts of what happened, it wasn't. I didn't kiss Jason. That's a fact. My lips never touched his lips, his cheek, any part of him. There was zero kissing involved in any capacity. I didn't grind on him. I wasn't moving suggestively. I wasn't doing anything remotely intimate physically. I was literally just sitting, just placing my body weight on another surface that happened to be his legs. That's it. Static position, no movement. I didn't whisper anything in his ear. I didn't say anything flirtatious or suggestive or inappropriate to him. Our conversation while I was sitting there was normal, casual, the same kind of conversation we had been having all night earlier by the windows. I didn't exchange numbers with him. I didn't make plans to see him again. I didn't suggest meeting up without my husband. Nothing like that crossed my mind or came out of my mouth. No future planning. No indication of wanting anything beyond that moment. I literally just sat, just existed in physical proximity to another human being for maybe 2-3 minutes total maximum. And for that, I'm being treated like I committed adultery, like I destroyed my marriage, like I'm some kind of terrible person who deserves to be punished and abandoned. I was just playing along with the game. The same game other people were playing. The same game that everyone had agreed to participate in. Other people were doing dares too. Someone licked the bathroom floor earlier, which is genuinely disgusting and actually gross and unsanitary. Someone drank a mixture of every condiment in Tyler's kitchen, mixed together, which made them gag. Someone had to wear their shirt inside out for the rest of the party. Someone had to let everyone look through their text messages. But apparently, sitting on someone's lap is where the line is drawn. That's arbitrary and ridiculous and makes no sense. The dare itself was nothing. Sitting is not inherently intimate. Sitting is not inherently romantic. People sit on each other's laps all the time in completely innocent contexts. On crowded buses, in cars when there aren't enough seats. At concerts, kids sit on their parents' laps constantly. Friends sit on friends' laps in group photos. It's just a position, just a physical arrangement of bodies that means absolutely nothing inherently. Context matters, but the context here was a game. A silly party game that everyone knows is meant to be fun and meaningless. I didn't mean anything by it. There was zero romantic or intimate intent on my part. I wasn't trying to connect with Jason on some deeper level. I was just doing a dare at a party. I wasn't trying to make my husband jealous. That wasn't my goal at all. I wasn't even thinking about him in that moment. I was thinking about the game, about the laughter, about the fun energy in the room. He wasn't even playing. He had chosen to stay in the kitchen. I wasn't trying to hurt him. I would never purposely try to hurt him. I love him. Or at least I did. The thought of hurting him wasn't anywhere in my mind when I sat on Jason's lap. I was just participating in a social activity with friends. Just being social. Just being fun. Just being the kind of person who says yes to things and joins in. If the roles were reversed, I wouldn't care. Honestly, truly, if my husband got dared to sit on another woman's lap for 60 seconds at a party, I would laugh about it. I would understand it was a game. I'm secure enough in our relationship to not freak out over something so meaningless. I wouldn't storm out like a child having a tantrum. I wouldn't give him ultimatums or make dramatic pronouncements in front of everyone. I wouldn't pack his things and kick him out over one moment of innocent fun. But even as I tell myself all of this, even as I list all these logical reasons why I did nothing wrong, even as I build this careful case in my defense, I know I'm leaving things out. I'm conveniently skipping over certain details that make it look worse than I want to admit. Details that don't fit the narrative I'm constructing. Details that complicate the simple story I'm trying to tell. Like how long I actually stayed on Jason's lap. It wasn't just one round, it was 2. Almost 3. And I could have stood up after the first one, but I chose to stay. I chose to prolong it. Like how I was laughing louder than necessary. how I was clearly enjoying the attention, how I was playing it up because people were watching and cheering, and it felt good to be the center of that energy. Like how I touched Jason's chest at one point, just briefly, just casually. But I did. I put my hand on his chest and laughed at something he said. That probably looked bad, but it wasn't intentional. It was just a natural gesture, right? Like how I ignored my husband's face completely when I first looked over. I saw he wasn't smiling. I saw he looked uncomfortable. And I chose to keep going anyway. I chose to prioritize the game and the laughter and the fun over his feelings. I saw his discomfort and dismissed it. But those details don't fit the narrative I want to tell. The narrative where I'm the fun, social, easygoing wife who got unfairly punished by her uptight, insecure husband. So, I leave them out when I tell this story. I minimize them. I pretend they don't matter. If I'm being really honest, which I hate doing because it makes me look bad, this wasn't the first time something like this happened. I have a pattern. I know I do. I flirt as a joke. I push boundaries for fun. I test limits to see what I can get away with. I like seeing if he'll react. I like seeing if I can make him jealous or possessive or protective. Because he's too calm, he's too secure, he's too comfortable in our relationship. And sometimes that feels boring. Sometimes I want him to fight for me, to show some fire. I once told my friends, after a few glasses of wine, he's too secure. I need him to fight for me. They had looked at me weird. My friend Rachel said, "That's not healthy. You don't manufacture drama to prove someone loves you." But I disagreed. If someone loves you, they should care when you pay attention to other people. So I push. I flirt with bartenders when we're out. I laugh too much at other guys' jokes. I mention exes casually. I compare him to other men, never explicitly, but with implications. Little things, little tests, little pokes to see if he'll react. He never does. He stays calm. He trusts me. Which should be good, but which makes me feel like he doesn't care. Tonight was supposed to be another test. I didn't expect him to pass by walking away. After he left the party, I stood there for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only 30 seconds. Everyone in the circle was staring at me. Someone finally broke the silence. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," I said quickly. "He's just being dramatic. He'll cool off." But I didn't feel fine. I felt humiliated. He had made a scene. He had called me out in front of everyone. I grabbed my phone and texted him. "Where did you go?" No response. I tried calling. It rang twice and went to voicemail. He had rejected the call. I stayed at the party for another hour, pretending everything was fine. But the energy was ruined. People kept giving me sympathetic looks or avoiding me entirely. Jason had disappeared. The game had ended. Finally, I gave up and called a rideshare. The ride home was silent. I kept checking my phone. No messages, no calls, nothing. When I got home, I expected to find him in the bedroom, maybe still annoyed but willing to talk. We would fight, probably. Eventually, we would reach some kind of resolution. But when I opened the bedroom door, he wasn't there. My suitcase was, not thrown haphazardly, laid out neatly on the bed, open, with clothes folded inside. He had packed my things while I was at the party. Methodically, carefully, calmly packed my clothes. My heart was pounding. You don't pack your spouse's suitcase, you don't kick them out. I heard movement from the living room. I found him sitting on the couch, calm, drinking water, looking completely composed. "What the heck is this?" I gestured toward the bedroom. He looked at me evenly. "I told you. That's my dare. You already accepted it. You're being ridiculous. Over a game. It meant enough for you to do it. Everyone was playing. But I'm only married to you." I felt my face get hot. "So what? You're kicking me out. That's your solution." He set his water down carefully. "You sat on another man's lap to entertain strangers. You laughed. You touched him. You looked comfortable. It was dare. I had to do it. No, he said quietly. You chose to do it. You picked dare. You picked him. You picked how long to stay there. You chose all of it. You're acting like I cheated. You disrespected me in front of our friends. You prioritized a game over my feelings. Maybe that's not cheating, but it's enough. Enough for what? Enough for me to be done. I tried laughing it off again. You're being dramatic. You're not actually kicking me out over this. He stood up and walked to the door, opened it. I'm not kicking you out. I'm giving you what you wanted. Freedom to do what you want without worrying about how I feel. This is my home. It's my apartment. You moved in 2 years ago. Your name's not on the lease. That stopped me cold. I had always thought of it as ours, but legally, technically, it was his. You can't be serious. I'm absolutely serious. Pack anything I missed. You have until morning. Where am I supposed to go? He shrugged. Maybe Jason has a spare room. That was cruel. I hate you right now. That's fine. Hate me from somewhere else. I stared at him, waiting for him to crack, to soften. He didn't. You're really doing this, I whispered. You sat on another man's lap to entertain a room full of people. You didn't think about me at all. He paused. So now entertain yourself somewhere else. The finality in his voice broke something in me.